So you look at this card, Spanish on one side, English on the other. You got one? Here you go.
Yeah, one side metal has.
They're actually, we're actually not going to start with number 1. You want to know why? Because there's things to do before number 1. Okay?
That's tricky.
We're going to read our big sheet here. That is going to be left with you. It's laminated. It's a good deal. First thing it says, assemble machine to fit job requirements. Well, we did that, right? We're doing this job. Install the carriage, position in the middle of the machine. It is not in the middle of the machine yet, is it? No. Middle of the machine is right where that crown adjuster is. We'll move that in a minute, okay? That's moved it up there. Mount the bogies on the legs. That's what we did, right? We did those bogies, all 4. We're on the pipe. That's good. Position the legs to fit the screed rail, which we already did because we moved the legs in, made them fit, right? Okay, consult the owner's manual for safe lift procedures. We've lifted it, we moved it, we got everything right. There is a deal in there to look at in the owner's manual, okay? All right, now, we're getting square the machine frame at the 4 corners. This is where it's not on your card yet. It kind of is, but it kind of isn't. So we kind of did that. We measured just randomly about 30 some inches, whatever it was, right? 20, whatever it was. Good enough for now. Here's the part that's most important that isn't on this card. It's on here. Set the carriage rails to the same relative mid-adjuster position at all corners and hinge points, which is bullshit. You're going to do it all the way along. Sorry about the language. You're going to do this, and I'm going to show you quickly how to do that. Hang on to this. Time off, just a second. Okay, it's not on your card yet. We're not even there. We're dang near there. So when I say set the carriage rail, here's how I tell people to do it. This came from the factory, should be the same. This is the carriage rail, okay? Right here, all these adjuster bolts. That's not supposed to be in there. All right, adjuster bolts. That's what I'm talking about, set the same. We want this piece on the same on all of them, okay? The easiest way I found to do it, stick this up, right up to there, flush the bottom of that bolt with it. So you don't even have to see it if it's in the back. Want that? You see how I've got that up against that adjuster nut? Flush that. You know what I'm saying? Just have this 2x6 on side, I'm flushing that. Here's the deal though. This is a new machine. They're already all set from the factory. They have a gauge, it's a little different than this. But when you get to this, I want all these. This is not on your card. It is on that. Not here, and I don't know why it's not on here. This irks me. These need to be set center, all the same. Why is that important, you say, right? What's the difference? I have people tell me I've never done that. Later in the setup, you'll find out why. A long machine, got a 100-foot machine. We don't do that. We said that's too much work. You start adjusting this rail as you go, guess what's gonna happen? You're gonna run out of adjustment. I will guarantee it. You will be starting over and it'll be, man, that didn't take as much time just to do it right the first time. Set these, this is how I do it, but like I said, these are all factory, they're off about not even a 1/4 inch, but they're all the same already, so I'm not gonna dink with it. But do you get what I mean? Both sides, same deal. See how these are off just a little bit here? So if you have time when it's in the yard, this is actually very center. We have a gauge. I don't know why we don't send it with the machine. I don't even get one, so don't feel bad. That is not on your sheet. Every time you do that, it makes your setup easier, easier, and easier, okay? You're starting off square. I know you are because I know they did it in the factory. I've built these things. That's not on your card. Did I preach that enough? It is on there. Don't skip that part. You're thinking, that is a lot of work until I'll show you where it pays off, okay? All right, so now we go to your card. Sorry to complain, but so we're gonna square the legs. Do we know how to do that? Any guesses? I don't expect you to know. Okay, no, I'll tell you how, okay? We're new at this, so what we're gonna do is every time you square the legs, you go off the pipe. Already we're to the part why it's important to have these set the same. Every measurement goes off this, right here. That part of the carriage rail, that top lip, okay? You go off the middle of the pipe. Now you'll see why I have the motor back there out of the way, okay? So we're at 61 inches, right?
Yeah.
Everybody see that? Let's try this backside here. We're gonna be close, but not perfect. We're at 60 3/4. See that?
Yeah.
That's the measurement we want. These two legs have to be the same. Those two legs have to be same. All four do not have to be the same, but when I do this, they are, because I have one measurement. So we're gonna have to have somebody up top, which is you, because you know how to run the legs.
Okay.
And we're gonna have, this is where we would make a remote machine. This is where it's the handiest. I can stand right here and look at it and bump this leg from down here, but it's sure doable from here. So we're gonna square the machine. That's what that means. It's on your card. It's step number one. Off the pipe. Don't measure off the pipe or measure off any welding, because we don't trust that. They can be off. Any welding, don't measure off of here, or hook this. Doesn't work. Wherever you're going off the pipe, wherever you're measuring, now you see why I had you put that motor in the back. So what were we at? We're gonna go 61. The measurement doesn't really matter right now. So I'm kind of in the way there a little bit.
That line's backwards.
So we're at 60 3/4, if you can't hardly see it. Okay?
Yeah, your picture,
That's why that,
picture shows
yep, on the
that side.
yeah, and on the book, the picture in the book,
No, it's-
yeah, it's
yeah.
wrong. That's wrong. And so is it in the book. So that's what I'm saying. This is correct.
Okay.
You could run it if you had different, if say you had rebar out there, for some reason you're running on a beam and you had rebar gonna hit here, you put this one over there and that one over here.
Okay.
That is very odd. The picture's wrong on our cards. Isn't that fantastic? So I'm gonna show you where we measure from. We go from the pipe, top of the pipe, up to here. Top of the rails, just over 16 3/4. Okay, the one over here, 61. I don't know if you can get. Okay, that's the measure. That's how we're squared like. So I'm gonna have you go up top. We're gonna do these two legs, and we're gonna go down the other. This one, we're just gonna make our number 61. It's a good, easy number to remember, right? There's no magic number yet. There is a magic number coming up, but not yet.
One question.
Yes.
You measure off the pipe. How do you know that your legs are the same?
That your pipe's the same.
Yep.
That's part of the problem with us not having this on a straight deal.
Okay.
This might actually, you're right.
Okay.
But normally by now you have your pipe graded in.
Okay.
So you know what I mean?
Okay.
If you really want to, a good way to do this, and this has come up before, I measured here, drive the machine ahead till I'm measuring off the same spot. You know what I'm saying?
easy enough.
We might want to do that here because we know this is a mess.
Well, we're going to drive the machine all the way across.
Well, I mean ahead to measure this leg. Yeah, it's going to go up and back, blah, blah, blah. But you're right. But as far as from the pipe, we should be okay. We're going to move this leg to 60, so he can't see me. You go out, somebody be my guide.
I'm right here.
Okay, you're right there. I'll let you look at my tape measure.
Dalton, me. I'll guide you.
Okay. So we're looking for 61. Can you see that?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I'll move out of the way. Okay. One turn, basically. A little more. Okay, now I'm going to stop. I'm going to check the back. Okay, we're going to check back and forth. Okay, you can see this one. That's got to come down just a whisker now. Because once you change one side, just a touch. Bumper down. One more. Okay, good. Okay, now I'm going to go back and check. Just a bump up, just a tad bit up. Good, perfect. We're gonna go to that end, same number, okay? It doesn't have to be, but we're gonna. Fourth, because once you change one side, it changes all sides, okay? So, I like to use one tape measure and one set of eyes. This isn't as important as this. I'll really bitch at this one. But I'll let you look, I'll run the tape, but I want you to help me make sure it's vertical, okay? So you tell them we're on this leg. Boy, it's pretty close. got to go down just a touch, right? Just another bump. There. Got to go up a little bit. A little more.
Probably just a little bit.
Boy, that's pretty damn. Good enough. Okay, that's good. Now we're gonna go to this side. We got to go up half a turn. A little bit more. 8, lip, good. Go down, just bump it down.
Bump.
Just a bump. Good. Good enough. That's close enough. Okay. One turn on these legs. One full turn. That one's going up on me. One full turn is 1/8 of it, or 1/4 inch. It's called a 4-turn screw in here. One full turn, and you can see it from the top when you're driving. There'll be a white line and a red line. If you go all the way around, one full turn is 1/4 inch. Okay, an 1/8. So there you go. We can check. We can check it. It should be close. This measurement's important, but it's not as it's not as important as the one coming up. Okay, so we squared the legs. What's your card say to do next?
Straighten the truss.
Right on, brother. This part can suck. We're going to have him move the carriage to the middle. I'm going to go up there and help him because I don't think he knows how to do that. We're going to move this carriage to the dead center, okay? And we're going to start doing some other things, but we're going to move it first. That's what it says, and I've got some other things that aren't on your card we're going to skip to also. Okay, I will get up and help him do this carriage. Okay. If you push this way, it's going to go that way. If it that way, okay. We want to put it dead center. All you said, we don't have anything else, and we don't want to run anybody over. We got to pay. So we're about dead center there, right? Close enough. It's this guy. It's close. Okay, that's dead center. All right, so we're back to 0.
Yep.
Okay. That's all you need to know now. We're going to go do the setup part. So we
So you cranked that down.
That came this way when I did it.
It comes back to center. Okay.
Yeah, just like that. So it's going to shift back and forth that way. Okay.
Okay.
We're going to do a couple checks quick. Okay. This is not on your sheet. It's not even on there. It's on my cheat sheet. You guys get under here and see these black blocks. I think there's 5 on this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. Yeah. Okay, there should be no gap between the top. They're bolted from the bottom, but the top might have a gap. There's a little gap in one of them, isn't there? If you get underneath there, I'm looking at these 6 blocks, these little blocks.
There's a gap under this one here.
Just a whisker, isn't there?
Yeah.
Okay, how you adjust that, if there's a gap under like 2 or 3 of them, because it'll wobble. Guess what happens when this thing's wobbling going across the deck? You're leaving waves. Not good. Okay, in this case, and how you do that, there is a pin under here with the crown nut on it. You see that? Pull this hairpin out or pull this cotter key out, right? Turn that up a little bit. That'll tighten the bottom end of the top. Okay. You don't want it so tight that it won't skew, but you can tighten up a little. Now, in my opinion, I see it only one of them. You also, in your spare parts kit, have shims. You can loosen this up, slide the shim in, and it'll tighten just one of them.
Yeah, there are shims.
Okay, it's only that one. We're not going to worry about it right now because it's only that one, but I would do it. I would take a shim and slide it underneath. You know what I'm talking about? Pretty simple. They got it. It's actually good that it's there so we can show you what it's about. Because I don't see a gap anywhere else. And it's just the one, you got a shims in there, you just stick that, it's a really fine nail, and it'll be good, okay? I'm good at it because we got all 5 other blocks are hitting, so.
There was a gap before it moved either, so.
Right, and it probably vibrated and all the bouncing on the way down here and all that shit. It's something you check every time, but it probably very seldom needs to be adjusted. But if you have to tighten it, zoop, that pulls it. It's just bolted together right here. It's pretty simple. It's one bolt holds this whole bottom to the whole top. Okay.
Put your finger on that.
Okay. It's going to be right here. This crown nut. And just tighten that up just a little.
And that goes up and down on the black.
Yep, yep, this is gonna go, and that will tighten this. This whole bottom frame will pull up into the top frame, which is there, okay? And that is how you do that. It's not very often you have to do that, but it's something to check every time. It takes 2 seconds to look, and what happens is this thing will go like this, start wobbling, and you got a mess. This isn't gonna be a mess. It's gonna be fine, but it's probably okay to put a shim under that, okay? That's not on your list of things to do. It might be in a big one. I don't even know. Some more stuff that's also not on your card, but it is on that big one. That install the hold down rollers. So those 4 big green rollers, grab them. You guys are going to do this. I'm going to show you how, and then you're going to do it. You can start now whenever they get back here with them. I keep putting it in a different pocket. This is something you take off every time when you're going to travel and lift this carriage up, okay? This is made to keep the carriage from floating up in heavy mud. It won't push up. This does not have to be, if everybody comes under here around the camera, this does not have to be tight. I don't want it tight up against the bottom of that rail. I want a whisker of a gap, okay? I'll show you here in a sec. Maybe. I think the last time they put these things with the air wrench and I couldn't get it loose. Yeah. Okay, call the hold down roller, okay? Goes on this bracket. Comes off every time you move the carriage to a new bridge. There's a slot back here. We'll show you in a second on the camera. This goes in here. You can kind of hand snug it. It gets driven up by this bolt here as your adjustment. Take your time in doing this because you want this up but not touching this. You want it just a whisker lower. There's no sense when I get this in here, and you want to check it after you get it up because sometimes when you tighten that back bolt, it goes too far. I'll show you. That looks perfect-ish, so I'll back it off a whisker. So we're going to tighten this one and check it. This keeps it from going in and out. The bottom one obviously from going up and down. So I can see that's turning. With my fingers I can turn it, but there's just a tiny gap in there. You don't want a lot. To be honest with you, they put these on here years ago when these carriages were lighter. Mud was heavy. They might ride up. They don't do that anymore. It's still there. Nice to have just in case. So I got that tight. I'll tighten this. We're up. See how that tightened that up in that bracket? This is tight. I can still turn it. If you tighten this all the way, you'll burn these things up. They're like ridiculously expensive. Don't need to. This will last you 20 years this way, maybe 10, whatever. If you do it tight, 2 years, okay? They don't need to be tight. Same with the side thrust rollers. We'll get to that in a second. But so I'm gonna let these guys do it. You guys got those in? I'll go double check. So that's basically your gist of it. Flat washer on here. Anywhere there's a slot, there should be a flat. Did it fall off?
It might be on the inside of it.
Just a little off. Yeah, you want to go, yep, when you tighten it, it'll make it barely not touch.
Down.
Next story with the side thrust roller, it gets more interesting. Okay, side thrust roller is this plastic one. There's 4 of them, 1 in each corner. Same rule exists with this one. You do not want it touching the rail, but you want it just up against it, okay? Just barely touching or just a gap is fine. What that does is keep it from getting too crazy. You got to loosen this big bolt and do the adjustment with this one. Okay, I'm going to let you guys do that. In the meantime, what happens if you tighten one of them? At one time we made a metal one of these. I was just on a machine. 1 metal, 1 4 plastic. They had this so tight and they kept tightening it. These rollers that run on the top turned into razor blades because it milled off of this and milled those rollers down to I wouldn't put my hand in there. I said, what are you doing? And I said, that's how you're supposed to have it tight, so we just keep tightening this. I said, no, they need to be just like this, able to turn with your hand, okay, and not too tight. So there's no sense. And then they learned their lesson because I said, put your fingers in there, and they said no, and I said, neither would I, because that outside of that wheel where it's almost a quarter thick was razor sharp, and that railing was wore because they just kept, every time it goes back and forth, just figure it out. Same rule, little gap, you're happy. So we're gonna let them adjust that, loosen this one, then loosen it and tighten this one up a little bit. So we need that big crescent and that adjustable wrench right there, and go to town.
Flip your wrench over. Be easier for you.
Is this bottom turning? No, it's not doing it. It's a little bit. Might need pliers. Here, I got a pliers that probably hold it to turn. Can you get it? You got it?
I gave it to him.
Okay.
Thought it was loose.
Here, he might need to. That's good enough usually to hold it. There you go. Once it pops, okay, that's good. Now you should be able to adjust it with the, you probably want to loosen all four. Actually, just go ahead and loosen all four. It's not necessary, but loosen this one a little more. It's not loose enough yet. Then use your adjustable, use the open end part, get it loose. Other way.
Good to go.
Okay, what you guys just did is, if you look at your card, we're back on the card now. We're going to be at step 2. We're going to straighten the truss, all right? This string line is going to help us do that. Okay, they got to be nice and tight. They're pretty good. What's going to cause that to help us do that are also the wood blocks. One of you guys want to go grab the 4 wood blocks with the nails in them, please? You have the one. We'll need that one in a second too. Not yet, but just about. So we're going to we're going to straighten the truss using the string line. This is something not new, but it's newer. If you had been doing this 30 years ago, you'd say I'm doing this wrong. This is a whole lot easier and works better. So give me one of those. I'm going to show you how they go in. You're going to go put these, you'll see this in a sec. You're going to put these past where you're paving, like so. You want them right down on top of that rail. Where are you at, cameraman? Can you see that? We want it down on this rail. You want to constantly check to make sure it doesn't get bumped, move. 5 inches works good because you see that the chain holds it in. The nail holds the string line out, okay? We're going to put one on this corner. I'm going to show you these two. Okay, you're square, you're on here, perfect. Do the same thing at the other end. Go out towards the end. We're not paving this far, so if you had to, you could put it there.
Yeah.
But we're going to go here, okay? Nice and tight, inside.
String line over the nail.
Yep. Go up
String
with
line
the
over the nail.
other side of it.
Your side, towards you.
There you go. Put it straight across.
Chain knot on top of it. The outside of the block.
Outside of the block. There you go. Pull it out a little bit. You can move that block towards you if you want to. That's all right. Make sure it's nice and flush on the bottom. Sits nice and good. Okay? That's why you need to have the blocks ready. These blocks will go in your toolbox when you are done, so you do not have to fight making them, right? Well, guess what? We cut those out of the same board, right?
Yeah.
You got factory end on up and down, right? You don't have the cut. Yeah, you got it right, I think. Okay, guess what? If I do this, we know if the truss is straight or not. All the way along, okay? See that? Perfect, right? Because we're right by it.
Factory edge.
Okay, factory, always factory. Okay, you're gonna have to go up. So here's what we're gonna do. We're at the truss straightening. We're not at, if you look at your card, the string line to carriage rails, the next one, okay? The three, we're actually trying to do the truss. So say you have a 100-foot machine, you have a bunch of brakes in it, right? You're gonna start by moving the big ones, the big bolts on the top, to straighten this out before you even get to this carriage rail. It's gonna make your life a whole lot easier and a lot better. Since we have a crown adjuster in here, we may have to retime this a little bit. So what I'm going to do is we're going to drop this block in the middle. This is where the adjustment's going to be made to straighten your truss, okay? We're going to drop it in and see what we need to do. Okay, that truss has to come up, right? You can see the gap between the string line and the block, 1/4 inch maybe. Okay, let's go to the back. Let's see what that one says. Let's see what that says. Pretty close to the same, right? If we're lucky, and I think we will be. I'll move my fat hand. You see the gap there? Okay, we're gonna adjust that with these big bolts on top. It's a whole lot easier than adjusting the rail, because what happens if you try doing it in a rail, you'll run out of adjustment on a big machine. This one you will not, so we're gonna do it right. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna adjust this crown. It's real simple. We gotta get a ladder, we gotta get that big wrench down here, spud wrench, okay? This will take us about 5 minutes or not even to get ready. So this is the nut you're gonna loosen.
You got it?
since this has a crown system on it, you're going to just have to turn one side. It's going to turn the back and the front, this side and that side at once. If you have a big machine without these, each one of them has an individual bolt like this without the sprocket. They'll just have to adjust back to front, back to front, back to front until it gets the same, okay? We can't show you on here because it doesn't have it, but if you roll hard, yeah, don't let them fall. Safety first. There you go, a little further, loosen her all the way up.
This is strictly business, dude.
Okay, bring the ladder up here. We're gonna do the front side. Up on it. There you go. Loosen it. Okay.
Did it quick.
All right.
I know how to
So now, where are those wood blocks? Okay, that's good enough.
wrench.
So now, nope, now all we're gonna do, we gotta bring, in order to bring this up, this carriage rail up, right? It's gotta go up. You gotta make that gap wider up there. Right, you're good with that, that's fine. So you're gonna take that spud and turn this, and that's actually gonna turn the front and the back because we have chains. This is our get up here. So you wanna make it wider. So let's see which way you're going. Probably the other way, I think, because you're pushing this way, yep. So if you wanna do the back, you can, but just start turning it, you'll know soon enough. Yep, you're going right there. Okay, you're bringing it up. We're bringing that gap up here. Keep going. You got a couple more turns to go, yep. Same way you were going. Okay. Okay, keep going. This is why we put the carriage in the middle, right? All the weight's in here, deflection. If that carriage isn't here, this doesn't show like this. But this is when it's gonna be paving. It's gonna be here. Okay, we've got about a 1/16 of a gap yet. Two more turns probably. Oh, nope. Okay, that's another good example. Stop. He put his fingers in here and hit the string. You want to make sure that the boards stayed where they are, because I've done that before and knocked the boards off. Okay, they look good. Double check.
We're good, we're good.
Go a part of a turn. Keep going.
Example right there.
Good. Okay, now I'm going to check the back. We may have to time this. Let's hope not. But if we're close enough, we'll just use the carriage rail. Boy, it's a little bit. We're going to put that in the carriage rail. We're not going to fight with it. Okay, so you notice that raised front and back? This one's a little bit high, but we're going to do that with the carriage rail, so we're going to fix it. It's just a little bit touching there. See that? You can see it, I don't know. It's kind of hard.
I can see you moving the line.
Yeah, it's just barely moving, but we can put that in the carriage rail. We're going to go up and down a little bit with that.
Okay.
This side is very good. We're going to do, that's just barely touching. Okay. Now, if this is a long machine, you do this at every joint, but you're not going to have the chains, right? You're probably not gonna. You're going to have one set of chains, probably. So what you need to do is just use the big bolts that are up there and do each side back and forth until they're the same. If you change one side, you're changing the other. This one so happens is tied together, so you change them both at the same time. Awesome. If you're at a plate, you put one of those inserts in here, you take that crown bolt, you change this side, you change it, you got to keep going back and forth. And you always start in the middle. This says it on my sheet. You start that in the middle and work this way, then this way, this way, this way, no matter how long the machine is, till you get to the end of the joints, right? When you do that, all of a sudden you're back here, you're doing this. Well, I got to change that carriage rail is our next problem, right? You got a little bit to adjust. I can see it there. Hardly anything there. If you don't do it this way, you're gonna run out of adjustment on a long machine, okay? We're to the next step right now is adjusting the carriage rail.
Is that supposed to be loose?
It's gonna be. Okay, I'm gonna go through that. This is very important.
It's going to be.
It's gonna be. It's okay. So what I'm gonna do is take my socket out, because I like using the socket wrench when I can find it.
I gave it back.
I know he did. I just gotta find it. It's in my other. Which one was loose? This one?
Yeah, this one you grabbed right here.
Okay. Okay, this is very important. Come here and look at this. This is gonna save you a lot of money, a lot of headaches, a lot of time. People want to come along with an impact wrench, right? Boom, boom, boom. You got to loosen all these. You got to tighten all these. Guess what that does? Puts too much pressure on this bolt. This bolt only holds that rail from tipping in, not up and down. That's the one from the top. They want to come along, hit this thing, and I can tell because the washer's bent. Guess what happens? It bends the bolt on the inside, and when you go to adjust that, 10 times later, snap. you've got to replace that because you have to. You got to take a torch out, you got to cut that bolt, you got to put a collar on it, weld it, stick it through there. Do you think that's faster than going along, or do you think this is faster doing that? Not very hard, is it? Okay, you don't want this super loose. This carriage rail has to slide up and down on the inside, okay? This is about right. That's a little too loose. If you can do this, that's too loose. Okay, if you can do it by finger. I want it a little bit. It's just barely. You'll get a feel of it. If I go, so this is tight. That's loose enough. Okay?
There's looser. Yeah.
And then, yeah, we might have to go back. That was loose for some reason, yeah. So you don't want any of this. Okay? You want it a little snug. You want to be able to slide that rail up and down, okay? So, what you're going to do when you get behind the legs, sometimes you got to use an open-end wrench, sometimes you got to use a little different, the socket won't work. So that one's good. So I'm going to have you guys practice. You can take the open, you can take your other 3/4 wrench, go along on both sides all the way everywhere, and loosen them just a little bit so we can do the adjusting, okay? Do not use an impact wrench. Just don't. Even if it's a 100-foot machine, it doesn't matter, okay? Okay, and if this is, okay, and we're gonna give you a block, whoever's working in this inside over here, okay, you gotta use the factory side. We're gonna start on this one. We're gonna adjust these this so it's the right deal. What you want,
What do you want it at?
you want this thing,
This one's good.
just a little, see how it's hitting that? You want it to just go underneath there with just touching the barrel, okay? It's just about, it's gotta go up a little, this has got, rail's gotta go down, so you gotta turn this.
Okay.
Say now, let's see, loosen this up. So you want to act like you're tightening the bolt. I think that's right, but you'll know in a second when I tell you.
Yep. Go the right way.
Okay. Okay, as long as it keeps going down.
You tell me when.
Okay, a little more, keep going. Keep going. Sure that's it.
Getting pretty tight.
Is it? Okay, you might want to loosen the outside bolt a little bit. That's another reason to have a guy outside instead of two guys in here. So you see how I'm standing up here, but you won't be able to do that here shortly. Keep going. And you might need to work one or two out. Okay. That's, go a little more. A little more. Go another one. Okay, let's go to the next one. And when he lowers that, it's going to lower that one a little bit probably. Okay, you got to start. Did you start down here at the end? You know what you're doing? Okay, keep towing. You got to go the same direction. See, that got loose, right? Keep going until it, yep, that's all right. It'll go until it grabs the other, then it'll push it down.
It's getting a little tighter.
Yep, that's okay. If you want to loosen the outside, you can, but I don't think you do it. Boy, that's pretty good there. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay, now we're going to go back here just to check. That's good.
Show me.
Okay, yep, I'll show you. See how that just went underneath there just like that?
Okay.
Okay, now you're going to work your way. You guys are going to work your way all the way down.
Skimming.
You're in charge now. Okay, you guys, did you start down here?
No, he just did one. We want to just kind of.
Got to start down here. You got to start at one end, work to the other. Start either end, it doesn't matter. Okay, you're going to go like this. All right. You got to go down. You got to go down with it. So you got to go like you're tightening the bolt. Okay, it's easier with a ratchet, but you can sure do it with it. Here, give me that. I can probably reach it with that stupid thing here, better in here.
That's it, right?
So, it's. And sometimes you got to go out one. Okay, because if it's not moving much, you're probably binding over here.
Okay.
Okay, we got to go the same direction, right? We're hitting the string. We want to just. I don't know if I'm going the right way. I think so.
Sorry, this is just the outside bolt.
Okay, and when you see it, come on, little. You got to. We want tension. There we go. No, it doesn't matter which one. Okay, now, see that? I move that. It just barely touches.
Yeah.
Just about perfect. Okay. 3/4, most things on this machine are 3/4 inch or 9/16. The lugs are 7/16, but most things are 5/8, 9/16. That's why we have these wrenches, speed wrenches. One side has not 3/4, one has 5/8. The other one is 9/16, and I believe half. And that you have the two wrenches, you can do about anything. Okay. Most of the adjustments are 3/4 inch, The 5/8 are the tightening bolts, but very simple. Okay, there's no metric. No metric. Okay, all they're going to do, they've got this side all set, dead on what we showed you earlier on the string line to the carriage rail. They're going to come back and just tighten all these bolts on this side. They're not done on that side yet. Doesn't matter. We've got this side done. Okay, so that's where they're at on the setup, which on the card, string line to carriage rail, we're going to be down to, we're done with 3 now on this side. We got to wait for them. We're down to just about done. Okay. String line and the carriage rail. This is my preaching part. I've been told this and I believe it. You have to be dead on. This has to be dead on, or you're paving with one roller and you run into problems like we're leaving a line out the back going one direction, not the other. One roller's wearing out faster than the other. It doesn't pave and we're the crap. What's going on? Well, did you string line your carriage rail? You don't have to do that. It's done that in the factory. Told that once. That was 3 years after the machine. No, it isn't, first of all. Second of all, every time this thing moves off one bridge to another, you have to do all this, and you have to do this, okay? What we're gonna go through now is the proper setup. So, what we're gonna do, come on in here, guys, and I'm gonna show you how to do. I'm gonna do one side, and you're gonna do the other. We got a knife, by the way. I need the knife. You got it on your belt, don't you? Okay. We're gonna run the string line first. It's gonna go on the inside here. It's pretty important here. Okay, proper way to do this is to drop it through here. Okay, there's a gap between the rail and that, so it comes out the bottom. Got it? It's right here. I'll just hook that side right here. That's pretty simple, isn't it? Look at that catch. Okay, so it's hooked there, tight.
It's hooked onto this thing.
It's hooked right underneath there. Easy. Okay, now I'm gonna need the knife. We're gonna get plenty of string out here so I don't fight it. Cut me right there somewhere. Okay, hopefully that's there. So we're gonna do the same thing on this side. We're gonna drop that thing right through there. If you want to tie, if you're good at knots, go ahead and tie a knot, whatever. We got to have that tight. The key here is to get that right on that rail, and that is not. There it is. See that? Right on that rail. That's off just a whisker, but that's okay. Okay. And sometimes it works so you can hook it around here. Sometimes it doesn't. Okay. I'm just going to tie this around here. And I should be able just to do like so. Anywhere here. Anything you can tie it off to works fine.
Oh, yeah. Is that what you were holding it for?
It doesn't matter. I'll let them do that side. We'll get it nice and tight. Good enough. That's tight. This is tight. It's pretty much on that rail. There we go. Okay. I'll let you guys finish. Wherever you can tie it off is fine. Give yourself plenty of room over there to tie it off. We just got to make sure it's tight. Okay. We're running it this rail to this rail. That's the important part. Top to top. Okay. We're going to be measuring off our from up the bottom to here. When they're done with that side, we'll show you what we do. We're going to need those levels and the bungee cords.
Can we get closer?
Okay, I want to make sure they went right over there. They're going to run this way under the rails. We want the straight edge up, which is at 2 of them. I want it close to the front this way. We're going to run it this way. And one on the back there, then we're going to bungee cord them to the bottom of the rails. Make sense? Or you want this to the front and you want that one to the back. This is why I'm thinking these little hooks are kind of nice if they work. And you can hook this to whatever you want. It doesn't frickin' matter. Oops, that didn't work.
Want to hook it to this rail?
What do you got? What do you hook to? I don't know if I can stretch that far.
All right.
Maybe I can. Fuck, I can hook it to the chain. I don't give a shit what it goes to. It's just as long as it's tight. Okay. It's just going to be tight. Let's see what he gets over there. Okay. Whatever you can. I hooked mine to the chain. This is where one guy, one tape measure, does the measuring. Okay. Not 2 guys, not 3 guys, not, oh, it's close enough. I've got a tape measure here. I don't care who's going to run it. Who's got good eyes? Who's used to be a carpenter besides me?
None of us.
None of us?
DJ.
I'm going to show you one. Come on in, or whoever's going to run it. We need one guy is going to be running the adjustments. One guy is going to be running the tape measure. And when he runs the tape, it's good to have somebody else, a third guy, making sure I've got this thing straight up and down. Okay? Okay? I'm pretty straight there. We're going to measure this line. Doesn't mean top or bottom's close enough. It means it's got to be dead on. Okay? And you're going to pick a number.
57.
Okay, we're at 57 and 15/16, right?
We're at 56 and 15/16.
Yep, we're about there to the top of the line. We're going to go off the bottom of the line, actually, though, because that's what's touching our rail, right? The bottom of this line. So we're going to check that one's about 57's a good number. 57 is a good number. Get me on there and get me. So we're at about the same there. 56, and we're 7/8 there.
Yeah.
We're not even. We're actually closer to 5/8 or 3/4, I should say, on the bottom of the string. So we're going to go around and check the others just to check to see what numbers we get. Okay. Okay, we got the gas tank in the way. That's the problem with this stupid damn. That's the problem with these dumbass tanks. The only way around that is go pull on the augers and turn this whole bottom that way. I think that'll fix it. If you grab that bottom, if you grab that top piece, it might work, it might come off. You should be able to turn that. There you go. Let's see. I can't get there yet. Shit. We like to have this string out here. Sometimes these things work out in the right spot, but we don't have it. We got plenty of, yeah, put that in there. Put that, slide it between here and there. Yeah, that's a good plan. As long as we're down on here, does that get us close enough? Nope, it's gonna want to go up though, isn't it? Son of a bitch.
I figure if you hold it flat level across, you can measure up.
Oh, no, that ain't good enough. We got to go right off the string. Okay, let's see where that gets us. We're gonna have the same problem maybe in the back. Well, that's pretty close. So we're 56.5 to the bottom here. Okay. See how it's different than the other side? Now that fucking side, can we do the same thing over here? Where's that other block? That came up though. God damn it. Usually this doesn't happen unless we've got a. There we go. Let's stick that fucker in there. Come on. That's gonna push that fucker down. Well, I guess that'll work. All right. Is that far enough out? I suppose that light's in the way now. We're at 57 3/4. So I'm going to say the magic number, we're going to adjust everything to 57 3/4 because that's the closest one in all corners, okay? Now, somebody grab a 9/16 wrench and a 3/4.
56 3/4.
Right there. Or 57, I'm sorry, 56, thank you. Okay, right here. You're going to do the adjustment. Front one, there's 3 bolts to loosen. 1, 2, 3. Got it? 1 holds the bearing. Could you see that with my button away? 1, I'm going to show in the camera. Oh. 1 here, 2 there, 3rd one's on top. Okay? Just loosen them just like we did the carriage rail. Loosen enough to go up and down, but not so loose it's hanging. Yeah, they were so tight the last ones on. We had to other way. You were right. There you go. Okay. Not so loose that it hangs, but loose enough we can move it. Good. And the top one, you're going to do that to all 4 corners, back, front, off. Get it? Without busting your hand. Yeah, exactly. Okay, good. Okay, like I said, not too loose. Okay. Somebody else can do the other side and the back. Oops. Here, I got another 9/16. I'll have them do the back. Okay. Oh yeah, that was what was earlier. F16s. Nice. This also on the back has 3 bolts. Easier to see. 1, 2, 3 on the bottom. Use that other side of that wrench, will be easier for you, bud. Pull down on it. Super tight. Push hard. I got them things. We got to get this one down a little bit. Just a whisker. There we go. I like that. Okay, to the bottom of the line. Whoop. Okay, now you tell
Yeah,
me.
give it one more.
A little more. Yep, just don't go so fast.
Right, I will.
Okay. Now, a little lesson for you. You're going to work your way around the same direction the whole way. If you change one corner, it changes all of it. You got to keep going around until it's the same. Okay? Not one time, because I'll guarantee you move that, it moved that one and that over there and this one. But it'll get to the point where it's just so tiny that it's perfect. Okay, it just takes patience here. Okay.
Diagonal, would it make a difference?
We don't want to do that. We like to work in a circle on this. We want, just like back and forth up here, we like to go in a circle so you're not chasing your tail this way to this way and this way to this way. My nephew is in charge of the F-16s in South Dakota.
Oh, yeah?
Colonel Morrell flies out of Sioux Falls. They got a F-16 group. Freaking cool, man.
Oh, yeah?
We haven't been there yet, but my nieces and all the other ones have been out for a night run where they take off at night and they're the afterburner. Oh my God.
That's cool.
It is neat.
Sioux Falls is a pretty neat area.
Yeah.
I've been there, but I've seen videos of people going there hunting trips.
Just west of there, yep. Popping her a little bit. So what they did here was very important, very Vicky, can you get my tape measure for me? I'm going to show you something. During our classes one year, we had a guy come in, told him a measurement. He was going to come and do this. He did this, measured it. It was wrong, so he just moved the tape measure until it was right. He said, that's just easier. Okay, is that what you're saying? Is that it is easier, but is it doing it right? No, it's one of my favorite stories, and he did it right in front of everybody. But he was right here, and it was all wrong. He's like, oh, that's not right. But he goes, wait a minute. Oh, no, it is. Don't do that. I don't think anybody here would, but everything they did was right. They took their time. They made a full circle 4 times. Probably took them. It might take you twice. It might take you 10. You never know. They're tightening it up back up now. We know this carriage is square. The whole unit is square. We know that is square to this. Right now we're down to the setup, what we don't have to do, which is a crown and then grade. We're going to do the grade tomorrow. We're going to figure out what we want to do. This is very important to do every time, all of this. So appreciate it. Way to go, guys. That was great. Take your time. Do it right. Okay. If you end up with the one side having to be too high or the other too higher than the other, and you've got to drop this carriage. Say you put a 6-wheel bogie system under here, which I'm not going to explain. It raised there. Each corner, right here, and the 2 in the back, right here, have pieces in it for you to extend this machine up to like 16 inches. You drop this whole thing down, it drops that carriage down, okay? Because your legs are way up or something. Say you've got 2 on the form and you can't get the legs up high enough, drop this down. There's these bolts right here, these 3, there's 6 bolts to undo. On each corner, you just put forms underneath here, somehow to hold this up, then raise the machine up and extend this. They're called carriage extenders in your book. It's good, don't panic if you can't get low enough. Probably isn't gonna happen to you guys for a long time. I don't know about this next pour. I'd have to see how high this one side is and the other. But if you have to, you can extend this carriage, okay? All right, good enough. All right, so if you look at your card, we're already to set the crown, which we're not gonna do because we don't have one. We don't even have one on the bridge. Set to grade. We don't know what we're gonna do for grade tomorrow. We'll figure that out in the morning. Whoop-de-dee-do, right? A few other things we'll do in the morning is teach people how to run this. It gets daylight about 7:30, it looked like. Ish, light enough to maybe do this, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock we'll be ready to go. Teach people what the controls are. We got pipe here. You might want to stand back and eyeball something, make it a little flatter. We're going to tear this back out. It doesn't really matter. But it would be really nice to have forms on the inside so the mud didn't run away, but that's a lot of work.
Just clean our rails real good.
Well, we won't go to the rails. We'll stop somewhere in between. We got to set a couple things on our sheet, the cheat sheet that I don't have on here. We got to set our lugs to where the carriage goes. How far? Okay, that's on the chain. We'll do that tomorrow morning. We'll set the paddles that shift and skew this cylinder or this carriage. Goes this way like this, boom. The rollers will reverse. I'll show you how all that works. So does he say, what time did he say mud? 10 o'clock?
I think you said 11.
That's
11
fine.
or 11:30.
Fine, good, better yet. So in the morning, 8 o'clock, we'll be ready to teach people how to, we'll set the lugs will take like 2 minutes. The paddles probably 5 minutes. We'll set the grade, whatever we decide. And then like I said, we won't run it to the pipe. We'll just stop the mud 2 feet from the pipe and you get the gist of it by then, okay? We won't panic about that. But we'll go through the setup up top, run people who wants to run it and what those do up there. It's pretty simple, but there is a way to do it that's wrong. There's a transmission basically and a gas pedal is what I call them. That's simple, but you got to know what they do. So. Okay.
Go.
All right, chain lugs. Some people call them chain dogs. I don't care what you call them. They're chain lugs. This is what stops, hits your controller down here, bottom top, okay? It's what stops your carriage, sends it the other way. I've already checked the controller for the setting. We're okay. So wherever you put this is where this is going to shift. The easiest way to do this is run your carriage over to 9 inches from where you want it to stop. Because when this lug hits this, it pushes this back 9 inches before it shifts, okay? Do you understand? The magic number is 9 inches, okay? That goes back 9 inches. So if you get your carriage here, it's going to travel 9 more inches. Does that make sense? Okay, so we'll go start the carriage. You'll get it. We don't want to be too close to the pipe today, okay? We just don't. So we're going to be over here, say, so we're going to stop at 9 inches from where we want to be. Put the lug. You have a flat side right here. That has to be hitting the striker arm. If you flip this around, that will run up in here and you will have a mess. It will do it, and it'll jam it and stick it, and you will not be happy. So make sure the flat part hits that flat part. Pretty easy to remember, but easy to screw up too, okay? One on the bottom lug, top is the top lug, okay? So what we're gonna do, one direction is the other, obviously the chain switches direction, okay? So we're gonna go up and we're gonna run it and we're gonna stop it plenty far short and set it, okay? You can stop for a second. Ready? Okay, we're gonna set the shift paddle, right? This deal, it's gonna hit this rod right here. This is what rotates your carriage, okay? The trick is, they got this, so we got it turned in, we gotta loosen it. There you go, loosen that up. This is the one piece we want you to tighten this as tight as you can get it. Okay? You're tightening it. Okay, you want this as tight as you can get. So what we're gonna do, he stopped it right where it shifted, okay? We're gonna put this paddle up. I'm gonna take my marker, I'm gonna put a little mark. He's gonna move the carriage out of the way. We're gonna go in 1.5 inches tighter. That's what your travel, and your spring is about 2.5 inches. So I'm gonna set this on the rail. Butt it up against that rod. I'll get it there. There we go. Got it nice and straight. Okay, that's against the rod. Okay, I'm gonna put a little mark here. Just a little one. Okay, now we're gonna have you move the carriage. Okay. All right. All right. Okay, what happens? I'm gonna mark this really dark whole thing on both sides. If this thing comes loose and slides, it'll slide that way because it's pushing that way. Your rod will half shift. Your augers will keep turning. Your rollers will quit. You'll panic. You'll think all the motors quit. You'll have a cow. We had a guy call me at 4 in the morning, said they pulled their machine with the crane, got it off the bridge, they had to replace both motors. I said, what happened? He goes, it quit rolling, we can't figure out why. I said, go hit your shift rod. They went up and hit it, boom, everything started. This had moved that far, half shifted the rod. They lost, a $300,000 pour because they didn't pay attention and didn't do this, okay? Wasn't our fault, wasn't really their fault, but they didn't go through the little lines. If their finishers would have looked up, if your finishers look up and this long line is gone, guess what? This is slid a little bit. Slide it back to your long and you're ready to go. Take 10 seconds, okay? Does that make sense? Okay, we're gonna go through setting it up on the other side too, guys, so let's hear that. We'll go down there with the cameras too. All right. Okay, now you're gonna move it in 1.5 inches and tighten the crap out of it. And then we're going to start the carriage and run it. So you heard it click on this side, right?
What's the mark on where he's placing that?
That's where that thing was just touching it. So then he's going from that mark to the new one, so he doesn't have to worry about, oh, I had it here. Okay? Make sense? 1.5 inches is the magic number here. 9 inches is the number here. Okay? Okay, when he gets that good and tight, if you want to, you can take a little something and wipe this other mark off so there's no confusion. There you go. That's where it's going to be. Okay?